Juraj Slavkovsky just made some Habs history in the game last night, plus a note on the game that is going incredibly overlooked by a lot of fans. We'll be getting into all of that. Plus, Lane Hutson is leading NCAA defenseman in points. Well, tied with a few, but he's done it in the fewest games, plus a note on his performance this season, all coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. You'll want to stick around. There's so much to talk about, and we'll jump into Hutson first. There's a lot more than just the fact he is tied for the lead in the NCAA for points by a defenseman. Well, yeah, he did it in fewer games than anyone else, which I'll show you right now. Seamus Casey and Zave Boyum and Lane Hutson were all tied for the scoring lead. Well, here's the thing. Seamus Casey is basically a forward. He plays like a forward, but that's the thing. He still is a defenseman, fair enough. But Zave Boyum, well, he plays in the NCHC at University of Denver. And while, yes, he's going to be drafted probably in the top 10 of this year's draft, very highly touted, he has 44 points in 36 games in a weaker conference than Lane Hutson. The NCHC, it's still great. It's still the NCAA, but it's no Hockey East where Lane Hutson has 44 points in 33 games. He has been doing phenomenal, Jesse, and it feels like just yesterday, early on in the season, he missed a few games. He had a couple games without any points, but he has bounced back incredibly. He's now only 4 points away from tying last year's production, and he has 6 games to do it. Unbelievable stuff from him, and I feel like now, yeah, Habs fans are excited for him to come over this season, but I feel like, honestly, with everything else going on, it's almost going under the radar, which is crazy.
It is, again, getting named recently as well, Hockey's All-Star. And when you look at that list, you're looking at the very best prospects that are not in the NHL right now. And he's right up there with them. And I think rightfully so. We're looking at American hockey, but I mean, there are some good players right now, and he's keeping up right with the best of them. You have to feel like the way that Lane Hutson, in the way he's so competitive, he's going to want to break this three-way tie. He's going to really want to get that points total for the defenseman. That's big for him. Few guys you're going to meet that are really such competitors. Again, it's crazy to see that we got so many guys, like Jacob Fowler, Lane Hutson, like Martin St. Louis just himself, like being so competitive. Like that's the type of guys you want in the locker room. It's going to be amazing to see. So I can't wait to really see Lane Hutson here very soon, right? This year, so we got to start thinking, okay, with him arriving, Josh, who do you think is the ideal partner to put Lane Hutson this year with on the Montreal Canadiens?
Oh, that is a really interesting question. Now, my gut reaction, I don't know, I can't explain this, but my brain went immediately to David Savard. I can't explain exactly why, but I don't think I would actually pick that, just simply because Arbor Xhekaj has had such a good experience with him. Caden Gooley, Mike Matheson on that top pairing, well, that leaves maybe that third pairing, and weirdly, I think he kind of fits with a Jordan Harris, someone else who's just kind of a smart, cerebral player. Not so much purely from a fit perspective for this season, but I think these two guys, he can learn a lot from Harris, a guy who followed a very similar college trajectory. Now, not as highly touted Harris wasn't, for sure, but Hutson, playing that college season, jumping to the NHL at the end of the season to burn his ELC, which is almost certainly what's going to happen. I think playing with a guy like Harris, who has really shown himself to be a lot better than we thought he was maybe at the start of this year, I think that could be a nice pairing with Harris on the right, Hutson on the left. Am I crazy for that, Jesse? What about you? What do you think?
I think it's a very reasonable take. Of course, Lane Hutson coming onto the roster, third pairing, kind of makes a little bit more sense, right? With Jordan Harris there. But again, kind of a mobile guy because you want somebody that can kind of keep up with Lane Hutson to really bring out the best in him, right? Obviously, these defensemen, they have to work in tandem. So I could see that being nice. Obviously, Gooley's been showing that he can play in his off wing on playing some right-handed defense, right? So, maybe not right away, but I'd be, wouldn't be surprised to see Lane Hutson doing some great work and right away getting some looks with Gooley as well, right? Because just to bring out even more in this type of player, so definitely something to keep an eye on.
All right, final thing before we move on to the next topic, and I think we both knew this question was coming. When it comes to next season, everyone on this Habs blue line, there's so many left-handed Ds. We got Xhekaj, we got Matheson, Gooley, Harris, so many more. We got Barron still in the AHL. He's a righty, I know, but we still have Mailloux on his way up. There's so many defensemen on this Habs roster. Does Lane Hutson make the team next year? Because I'm seeing a lot of people speculate that him and Reinbacher could very well be that top pairing in Laval instead.
I honestly think he has the talent to make the Montreal Canadiens as of next year, right? And that's another conversation with David Reinbacher to begin. Another guy that looks like he can be ready sooner than later. I'm just looking at some of comparables with a Jaden Struble, with a Jordan Harris. They have, right? Like it didn't take them much time coming from the NCAA to be ready to play some NHL hockey, right? So I believe, if they can do it, considering the numbers that Lane Hudson has done, if they can do it, he can absolutely do it. He's going to be 100% ready. And he's the type of guy that he's just such a competitor at training camp. He's just going to be doing his darnest just to make sure that he's going to want to make this team so much. I think he's just going to will his way onto it.
You know what? I think that's a fantastic point. With how fast we saw Harrison Struble come in after playing in the NCAA, hey, you know what? I think that's a great point. I think you might be onto something, Jesse. But hey, all we can do is wait and see. But Lane Hudson, he is coming very, very soon to a theater near you. We're gonna move on to the next topic. And as we move into this topic, are you enjoying this video? Well, if you are enjoying the video up to this point and you haven't hit subscribe now. Because hey, guess what? We have daily Habs content. Jesse, Juraj Slafkovsky is making some Habs history right now, and we know he's been so good. It's no shocker that he's been amazing, but just how good has he been? Well, as Habs Chronicle tweeted out today, this is a fantastic little note here. He's posted 29 points in his last 38 games, going back to December 16th, where his production unlocked, which is when he was put on that first line with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield, of course. That's a 63-point pace over an 82-game season, and in reality, he should finish with around 47 this season if he maintains that cadence, which I think is very possible because he's maintained it for the last 3 months. But on that note, Jesse, not only has he been on that crazy pace, the history is here. Just last night's game with his 1 assist on the Cole Caulfield goal, he passed Peter Svoboda. He now has 46 points as a teenager. That puts him third in Habs history for teenagers behind only Mario Tremblay and, Alex Galchenyuk. And he was a good player as much as he has sort of fallen off in more ways than one in recent years. But as we take a look, he has 46 points now in 106 NHL games, 36 points in 67 games this season. Not only that, though, Jesse, his responsibility has been so high. I mean, higher than maybe even a guy like Galchenyuk, who was relied on offensively, but Slav is being relied on in every single situation. He led Habs forwards in ice time in last night's game with 21 minutes and 8 seconds. That's more than Nick Suzuki. He was only behind Mike Matheson in ice time. Unbelievable stuff, making history. He has 4 games before he turns into a 20-year-old a couple Saturdays from now. He has 4 games to get 4 points to tie Galchenyuk. Insane.
Can absolutely do it. And a big reason why he's putting himself in a position to be able to do this is his awareness on the ice. And what's so amazing about this, Josh, is he's taking a former weakness and kind of just, his vision on the ice. And now he's turning that into his strength. Now, we all see him, in the offseason on the ice. He was having some optics gear looking like RoboCop, like Terminator. Maybe we need nomination for that next, But he's really turned it into his strength. Is now he's able to see plays before it happens and then snap off this crazy pass to really set these plays in motion. Seeing at the processing the game at totally a whole nother level right now. We're looking at his production, it's not quite a point per game since that January 16th mark. But again, as a 19-year-old, we're getting pretty close, right? It's in that ballpark. And then when we're kind of projecting a little bit here, it's but a point per game player, 82 points, that's not even Slav's ceiling. From what we've seen him in, we know that he's capable even more. And that's the best part about him, right? This is a guy that can do 90 points, in a season. I believe that he can do more than just a point per game. And again, just looking at the intangibles, the talent, but also, again, the character. I'm starting to think that, he's definitely not in that leader position right now. But again, with that talent, with that character, this is a player that I see wearing a letter for the Montreal Canadiens in the near future.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. There's a lot of guys who are candidates for that. Of course, Suzuki already has, and we're talking about someone like a Caden Gooley, and maybe once Matheson and Savard are gone, those will go to other people. Gallagher's going to keep his until he's gone, but it wouldn't shock me. We're looking years down the road. The thing with Juraj Slafkovsky is that, every single game, he has a weakness, he turns it into a strength. He was known as being a deer in headlights last year, has turned into one of the team's best guys with the most awareness, these crazy passes that no one would even think about. And yeah, you're talking about he's on a 67-point pace over the last 3 months. As a 19-year-old, since he's been on the first line, it's been unreal to see this. This guy, like you said, is taking weaknesses and turning them into strengths. And not only that, I think he's really been that catalyst for the first line. This is not something I'm saying for the first time. I've probably said this yesterday as well. But Suzuki and Caulfield have played together a lot, and they've had different line mates, and that line has had, some success, sometimes not so much. But since Slav has been there, it's similar to what we saw with Doc before they moved Doc off the line. But now we have a bigger sample size saying, when Slav is there, this line dominates other teams. They go up against Austin Matthews, well, Nick Suzuki shuts him down, and that line shuts him down. They go against the Flames, probably the most dominant line in the entire game from either team, just from a pure, not even talent perspective, from puck control perspective and chance generating stuff like that. These intangibles, it's the reason he's getting 21 minutes in a game, leading Habs forwards in ice time. And that kind of responsibility is maybe one of the most underrated aspects of this stretch from him.
Absolutely, Josh. Can you imagine a power play that we have right now, but then maybe having Kirby Dach in instead of Alex Newhook? Because even if Slav and Kirby Dach aren't playing together on the same line, they're still going to play together on the power play. I could see that combination being so good with just Slav's ability to kind of read the play, kind of set things in motion, but then Kirby Dach's poise with the puck in the offensive zone, right? Like very intelligent, big players. I'm just seeing this right now. I honestly think it's going to be such an amazing combination. So I just can't wait to see this further develop.
Yeah, they're similar in a lot of ways. Something I've kept saying. I can't wait to see like this version of Slav with Kirby back on the ice. Maybe they'll just get into an accidental passing battle, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, start to confuse teams because no one's going to know how to take the puck away from them. They both win every board battle. The Habs will never lose a puck battle in the offensive zone again. But yeah, it's unbelievable stuff. What do you guys think of Slav's recent tear and these new stats showing just how good he's been? Because I mean, look, I know we find ways to praise him every day, but there's new stuff coming out every single day about just how impactful he's being. So yeah, shout out to him. Unbelievable stuff. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Guys, we're pushing 12,000 subscribers, so if you could hit that button and you haven't already, we'd really, really appreciate it. I've been your host, Josh Goss, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.